What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Now in this video, we're gonna learn how to use the Google Tag Manager to configure your Facebook pixel. Now in one of the other videos, we did a whole kind of Facebook tutorial, step by step from beginning to end. And I mentioned briefly in the beginning that you can configure it's very important to configure the Facebook pixel. But one of the easiest ways to configure it is using the Google Tag Manager. So in this video, we're going to go in depth and I'm going to teach you how exactly to do that. So right now, I'm looking at a screen of different accounts, each one with one container. And so, think of a container, an account is basically a site, like you can have a site or a specific project that you're working on. A container is basically a collection of tags and triggers and all these settings. Basically a collection of code. I'll keep it simple. Collection of code and variables that get executed in response to certain events. Okay, so let's go from the beginning and create a new account. So we're gonna create a new account from scratch. We're gonna click create, we get the screen, and let's say we call this account 3. Okay, because I already have 2 accounts, we're gonna call it account 3, and we just put google.com. Okay. Now, country is US. We're located in the United States. We pick here web. We click create. We accept the terms of agreement, and we should have an account created. Now, right away, we get a new screen, and I'm going to remove this for a second. And we have this something called the Google Tag ID. Now, this is very important because this is kind of the identifier for this particular account, for this particular tag even, this workspace. Okay, and what we see on the left-hand side, we have an overview where we are right now. We have different tags, triggers, variables, folders, and templates. And the most important thing here is tags and triggers. And so the way I want you to think about is a tag is a piece of code that runs in the response to something. So for instance, if something happens, if an event happens, which is a trigger, a tag runs. So, think about it like an if-then condition. If something is triggered, this piece of code executes. So right now, we don't have any tags in this particular account, in this particular project, and that's what we need to create right now. And we also don't have any triggers as well, because we haven't created any triggers yet. So what do we need to do? We need to basically create a tag called Facebook Pixel, which is going to insert a piece of code that is going to get displayed. But before we can even do that, before we can even start to configure all of this, it's important to configure Google Tag Manager on your own site. So there's various ways of doing it. It depends on the platform. I believe if you have a Shopify, there's a plugin, or maybe it's built in. I haven't used Shopify in a while. But for this example, we're going to be using WordPress. And WordPress actually has a really good tag manager plugin. If you go to wordpress.org and you search for Google Tag Manager plugin, you will see this plugin right here, Google Tag Manager for WordPress. And this is, the easiest. It's a simple plugin. It's the most popular plugin, so it works. And what you do is you install it on your site, set up like any other plugin. And then once you do that, you're going to have a setting here on your WordPress admin, and you're going to have Google Tags Manager tab. And then on the first page, on the first tab, the general tab, it's going to ask you to insert your Google Tag Manager ID. And this is the ID that we have here. Well, this is a new ID. If we click on that, we have code here, but we're not gonna, we're not concerned with the code. All we're concerned is with this ID right here. Okay, this ID right here. So what we got to do is once we install this plugin, and assuming you're using WordPress, you basically have to insert this plugin here. Okay, and we're not gonna do that because I'm using another tag manager, so we're not gonna do that. But what you do is you copy and paste your tag here, click Save Changes, and this code really, this whole code right here, is going to get inserted on every single page. Now, of course, you don't need to use a WordPress plugin. You can insert it manually. If you're a developer, you can insert it manually in the head section, like Google suggests, and then insert this piece in the body section. Or you can use like a plugin called like header, footer, or something like that, where that allows you to insert this code. Now, we keep it simple. We install this plugin. We just install this piece of code. and we're good to go. Okay, so now once we install this plugin in our WordPress or whatever setup you have, this Google tag manager is going to get executed on every single page. Now we can work inside this and never have to code again, never have to touch our WordPress installation ever again. We can start working here. And so the first thing we got to do is we need to find a tag that, the Facebook pixel that executes, that really executes the Facebook pixel code. And before, you had to create your own tag and do it from scratch. But now, this is, I think, something recent, maybe in the last few months, I believe, maybe even longer. Google introduced something called the tag templates. So if you click on that, and we click on Search Gallery here, you basically are presented with a list of different templates that you could use that are submitted by third parties. Now, obviously, there's a little bit of a security thing, right? So you have to make sure you trust this party. So, there's some of them have these green check marks that, now I know this guy, he actually runs like a very popular blog, so he's pretty legit. And so it's verified by GitHub that the organization controls the domain. So this website controls the domains. So what you got to do is you got to click this magnifying glass, type Facebook, face even, and then you're presented with this Google Pixel template. We click on that. We have some more information here. We click Add to Workspace. It gives us some warnings, and obviously, it's going to inject script, right? This is a piece of code that we're actually going to run on our site, and we click OK because we trust this code. And now this template, this Facebook pixel, is part of our own tag templates, right? We haven't installed it yet. We simply imported a template, and what we got to do now is click on this template here. And we need to basically, well, here we can just look what's going on and all that. We can modify this template, right? We're not actually modifying the tag yet. What we got to do is go here on tags, okay? Click New, and now we can click on this tag configuration here. Now we can pick our Facebook pixel. And now, since we imported a template, we're not working with a template. We're working with actual tag now. We click on this, and now we have this tag configuration. So the first thing I like to do is give it a name. We can call it Facebook Pixel. Nothing crazy. And now you click anywhere here, and now you have to configure it, right? The beauty of these tags and these templates is that you no longer need to actually create any code. You no longer need to copy and paste JavaScript code. It's gonna do it for us. So the first thing we need is the Facebook Pixel ID, and for that we go back to our business manager, right? And it depending on where you were. You need to go to Events Manager here. Well, first of all, you need to click this menu here. And let's say maybe you were in the Ads Manager. You have to click on the Events Manager because that's what the pixel is. It basically generates events. You click on Events Manager, and then you have a list of pixels. Now, if you need to create a new pixel, you click on this, follow instructions here, email instructions to a developer, manually add a pixel. You can basically add manual here. That's okay. All we need is a pixel, and once you do all that, you're going to be presented with a pixel ID. And you basically click on that. It copies to keyboard. You go back to the tag manager, and we're browsing our Facebook pixel tag. You copy and paste it here, Facebook pixel ID. Next, you check any other options. We have event name is standard, page view, correct. This tag is going to be, so a pixel can have standard events, which is any of these events here, which is standard events. These are basically pre-configured events. Or we can do a custom event, and then you can configure it here. For this example, we're doing standard events, and we're gonna fire a PageView event, which is basically what a pixel does. It by default, it always fires a PageView event because it's installed on the page, and every time that page gets viewed, somebody views that page, this PageView view gets triggered. And so we don't need to do anything here. We click Save. That's all we need to do. And it's telling us that there are no triggers selected, right? So, remember, this is an if-then condition. We have a piece of code, but we don't have a condition where it's going to fire. So what we do is we add a trigger, and thankfully, there's already, this is the only built-in trigger we have, and this is the one we need for all pages. All pages, we click on that. Now we have a trigger, we have a piece of code. On all pages, this piece of code is going to get fired. We click save. And now we're back. And the other thing you need to do, remember, at this screen, it has not implemented the code yet. It's not live yet. It's something called in a preview, in a staging environment, right? So it's not actually live in that, in that Google Tag Manager that you installed in your WordPress. Because all you need to do, right, it's telling you that you have workspace changes too, and you have to click submit. And it's telling you can, it's telling us basically right now you can submit your changes, and you can publish and create a version. You can create a new version without publishing it. We leave that as default. We look at the changes we have. We basically imported a custom template, and we created a tag from that template, and we're all good. We click publish. We don't really need to enter anything here. You can if you'd like, but I usually don't. I click continue, and it basically publishes these changes live. Okay, so now we have version 1.0. It has one tag. These are the changes in that version. These are the tags. These are the triggers. We have all the history of the changes that we did. Remember, because later on we're gonna add new tags. We're gonna add new pieces of code, maybe for analytics or something else. And so you're gonna go through different changes. And right now we have version 1.0, version 1.0 here, one tag, and using one tag from a custom template. So now this is live. Okay, this is absolutely live. So if we go to our Google account, we click here. This is live right now. Okay, so if we click on tags here, remember this was empty before. Now it's showing our Facebook tag that's firing on all pages. So this is going to be live. So assuming you properly installed your Google tag in the, your Google tag from the tag manager in your WordPress install, this pixel is going to be collecting events. So if you go back here and you go to all data sources, and now you're going to see all your pixels here. We only have one pixel here. It says last received 90 days ago. And this is because we don't really use this pixel right now. And so what's going to happen is once you install that pixel and people are visiting that site, or maybe if you don't have any traffic, you should go and reload the page. You're going to basically see it's going to say something like last received 1 minute ago or 5 minutes ago, or 50 seconds ago, or whatever. You're going to see updated data, or less than a minute ago. I don't remember the format or what it shows, but you're going to see something here. And at this point, we're good to go. Now, another thing you have to do, and this is very important, right now we're not really optimizing for conversions. Remember, if you are, let's say you have an ad account, right? And we talked about that in the other video, which I'm going to link below, is that we are, if we have a campaign that's optimizing for conversions, this is not good enough, because right now we're only tracking page views. Remember, this is only tracking page views. You're going to see that. It's a standard event. We click on that. It's only tracking page view. What we need to do is we need to create another tag, another piece of code that's going to track conversions, and that's only going to get fired on our thank you page. Okay? So what we do is we go to tags. We're in tags right now. We click new. We call it purchase event. And this event, or purchase event, and this event is only going to get fired whenever we are on the thank you page. So, and as you know, like most people, after you purchase a product, the person is redirected to a thank you page where maybe they can download this product, or they get an email confirmation that the product, if it's a physical product, it's going to get shipped, it's on their way. So it's a very common practice to redirect people to a thank you page once they make a purchase or something like that. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to create the same pixel. So we click on this, choose a tag type. We scroll down, go to our custom tag. We have custom HTML, custom image, Facebook pixel. We click on that. We put the same pixel ID. We copy and paste that. I believe this is our pixel ID. I could be, let's see. Yeah, pixel ID. This is right. And now in this case, we pick a different event. Now, if you're using standard events, then you just pick purchase, okay? And if you're using custom events, you have to do a little bit something else. but we're just gonna keep it simple and just do it for custom, for standard events. I might make another video where I talk about the different kinds of events in Facebook, but for now, we're just gonna keep it simple. And this is fine for most situations, which is a purchase event. And so what we wanna do is, now this tag, we wanna make sure it's loaded, not even fired. We wanna make sure it's only loaded once we loaded the other tag. So we say only fire this tag in publish, let's see, tag sequencing. So what we wanna do is, we wanna say fire a tag before, we wanna fire another tag. So before purchase event, and this is our regular Facebook pixel. We wanna make sure, because remember, Facebook pixel gets fired everywhere. It's a page view event. It gets fired on all pages, and everything that a person does, it gets fired on every single page view. But this tag, we want to make sure that it fires before the regular tag gets fired, so that it's all nice and clean and organized. And we want to say don't fire purchase event if Facebook pixel fails or is paused, because if it fails or paused, we don't want this to fire. We don't want this to fire at all. We only want it to fire when the other event is fires. And so we configured that. We were configured. It's gonna get fired after the other previously configured tag gets fired. Purchase event. Let's go over standard purchase, etc., etc. We click save. Now it's telling us we don't have a trigger. Now this is very important. We can pick all pages. That's okay. Let's pick all pages. And what we gotta do here is, actually, no, we don't want all pages. Let's click triggering. What we want to do is we want to click the plus sign, okay, and create a custom trigger. And this is only triggers only for thank you pages. So page view, thank you page, okay, and we click here. And what we want to do is we basically do page view here. And we do it for some page views, not all page views. We pick page URL, okay, contains thank you. So as long as your page URL has a thank you in it, this trigger is gonna get this trigger is gonna get activated. So we click save. It scrolls back. Now for this purchase event, it's triggered by this thank you page. We click save. Okay, now we have two tags. The regular Facebook pixel that gets fired on all pages, and purchase event that gets fired only on the thank you page, which is the special page view trigger that only gets fired on a particular page. And so we have our trigger set up here properly. One trigger, because the other one is a standard trigger that we don't need to configure. And we have tags. So now we have, new tag. We have two tags: a regular Facebook pixel that gets fired on all pages, and purchase event that gets fired on the thank you page. We click submit here. Let's see. We look at our changes. Everything is good. We publish. We click continue. Okay, and we're published. And so we're on version 2.0 now. We have two tags, one trigger. Right here, we have our thank you page trigger, purchase event, this new tag, and everything is set up and everything is good to go. So now we can go back to the workspace, and now we can see that, we're in version 2.0, and, we can even take a look here. We could look at this version, see what's going on, see if what happened, what are the changes that happened. We can even create a new workspace if we want, and switch workspaces right here, you can switch workspaces, but we'll just keep it simple and have a default workspace. You don't need multiple workspaces. Think of a workspace as like your environment, right? Your environment. So you can have multiple workspaces depending on what you're trying to do. You can add a new tag. You could do it here. You could do it here. But generally speaking, we're on the new version 1.0, and it has no changes, right? Because the whole purpose of working like this is that, let's say you're creating changes and you haven't submitted it yet. You can remove all those changes, basically discard them and start over. So it's really nice because you can test, you can do all these crazy things that we're not going to cover in this video because it's going to be a very long video. But in this simple case, all we have, so now we have two tags, the regular Facebook pixel tag and a purchase event. So every time, assuming, of course, you configured the Google Tag Manager correctly, every time you're browsing, this Facebook pixel is going to get triggered on all pages, and then this purchase event is going to get triggered on the PageView thank you page. So if you are, using conversion optimization that I definitely recommend that we talked about in the previous video, now you have the events. So it's feeding the events into the pixel, because every time somebody goes to the thank you page, that pixel is going to say, oh, this guy must have converted, because there's no other way to reach that page. And that means somebody bought something, and Facebook is going to know, okay, this person bought something, and it's going to, it's going to try to get you more of these people. All right, guys. So I want to keep this video nice and brief, just to show you very quickly how to configure Google Tag Manager. Of course, you don't need to use Google Tag Manager. You can just, use other methods. There are plugins and all these things you can use, but in my opinion, it's the easiest and the most simple way, because you don't have to mess with code, plugins. Google Tag Manager is not going away. You set it and forget it. And so it's a very easy way, and you can configure analytics, you can configure other nice things in Google Tag Manager. So it's extremely versatile, and it's getting, it has a lot of development. It's from Google, so it's very, very versatile. So I highly recommend that you use it for all kinds of things where you need to put in code on your website. All right, guys. So that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, definitely subscribe to this channel, leave a comment, like the video, and I'm going to have a lot more videos covering different topics like Facebook ads, Google ads, affiliate marketing, all kinds of interesting things that you're going to enjoy and that are going to be very, very useful to you. All right, guys. So thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon.